Taiwan, I'm Reece with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Migrant workers are rallying in Taipei to demand better support for foreign workers facing unsafe work conditions. The Labour Ministry says there's already a whistleblower system in place for catching safety violators, but injured workers and NGOs supporting them don't feel it goes far enough. John Van Trieste reports.
A group of mostly Indonesian migrant workers stands in formation outside the Labour Ministry, singing a 90s protest anthem they hope will echo through the walls. It's Sunday, the only day most have off all week, but they've gathered from across Taiwan to make a point.
We are workers! We are workers! We are not slaves!
Hundreds of thousands of migrant workers like these keep Taiwan running, especially its industries. But for many like Anas, now in his 11th year in Taiwan, long hours and physically demanding conditions take a serious toll. Over a decade of moving heavy metal molds without machinery to help has left him in constant pain, with spinal injuries that eventually needed surgery. All his employer offered was some folk treatment and a week off. And when that wasn't enough, he was soon out of a job.
Tetapi anehnya majikan saya tidak mau mengklaim penyakit saya disebabkan kecelakaan kerja. Dan saya membayar sendiri biaya operasi dan pada akhirnya setelah 2 bulan masa pemulihan saya di PHK dan majikan enggan memberikan saya pesangon dan ganti rugi.
His story isn't unique, these protesters say, and there are more testimonials of workplace injuries and care denied. In the case of Sutar, who also suffered spinal damage, it was a question of who qualifies for support.
Namun, karena saya baru bekerja di Taiwan 7 tahun, dibutuhkan waktu minimal 8 sampai 10 tahun baru diakui sebagai penyakit akibat kerja.
And when Much-sin suffered a severe leg injury on the job, the agency that placed him made sure it was not their problem. Much-sin still struggles to walk after more than 80 rounds of treatment supported by an NGO.
Ketika mau operasi, yang kedua agensi memaksa saya untuk tanda tangan bahwa semua perawatan ditanggung saya sendiri. Perawatan medis, akomodasi, dan makanan. Jika saya tidak mau tanda tangan, maka saya tidak jadi operasi dan dideportasi.
The NGOs gathered in solidarity, from labor rights groups to religious organizations, say these kinds of injuries are preventable, or they would be if the government was more careful about enforcing rules. They say that in contrast to well-policed corporations, the government lets standards slide when it comes to the small and medium-sized companies that hire the bulk of Taiwan's migrant labor. These include rules about safety training and the use of proper safety measures.
他们明明在工厂内发现了问题，但是他们也知道，每当有政府的人员来检查的时候，这些雇主就会开始作假，要么把一些机器的运转设备调到最高功率，要么准备一些文件去应对这些警察。但是实际上，在工厂内进行的事情完全是另一回事。
The protesters have 3 demands. 1, more proactive checks and guidance for smaller companies. 2, more transparent inspections, in which whistleblowers can have lawyers present to make sure there's no fraud. And 3, a special meeting of Labor Ministry officials to help solve the workplace safety problems migrant workers face. Zhu Wenyong, director of the Occupational Safety Division, says there is a system in place for catching inspection fraud. Inspectors have fined nearly 1,000 companies in the past 3 years, even shutting down work at nearly 200 of them. He says there's a whistleblower hotline with multilingual service, too. When it comes to protesters' demands, though, there is no firm commitment.
检查这边呢，当然是有讨论空间，然后这个讨论空间是有。可以现在来讲的话，它有个陪鉴的机制，也是有专家学者也是有陪鉴的机制，这边是现在是有的。然后它会进一步劳工参与这种了解，实际上这一块的话，当然是有讨论空间。
And the workers here are left unsure of how close they are to getting the protections they believe they deserve. Andy Xue and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
A deadly scaffolding accident ahead of Taipei's New Year's Eve celebration has city officials and some council members divided. A worker fell to their death Christmas Day while helping prepare the stage. According to some city councillors, the city broke a promise to relatives that it would shut down the site for a month, instead letting work continue 2 days later. Local officials say they only let work proceed after careful checks, and that they will hold the contractor accountable. But this hasn't stopped questions about how the cities handled the incident.
赶着要跨年啊，不要让那个市政府丢脸啊，所以就马上就草草的就让他复工了。一个生命就这样子消失了，不是说你市长出来讲一下，我们一定会救责。那救责救了10天呢，那责还在哪里？
The city's Labour department says the worker hadn't undergone proper safety harness checks and that it's working to finish a full accident report. Taiwan's ruling party whip is threatening to recall huge numbers of opposition lawmakers, as well as the legislative speaker. Harel Hughes reports on how accusations of anti-democratic behaviour are sparking outrage in the legislature.
Political rifts are widening in Taiwan as the ruling party's caucus whip rallies to recall a whopping 2/3 of opposition lawmakers. Democratic Progressive Party whip Ke Jianming made the call at a press conference on Saturday, saying the opposition, which controls the legislature, had been acting against the Constitution by forcing through bills with a political agenda.
我们要双罢，第一个要罢免政务院长，第二个要罢免国民党41个区域立委，都应该把它罢掉。
The Kuomintang, with support from the Taiwan People's Party and 2 independents, hold a combined majority in the legislature. The 41 legislators targeted by Ke make up all the opposition's publicly elected lawmakers and are thus subject to recall laws. The other 21 opposition legislators were elected through party votes. Ke and the wider DPP have vocally opposed a slew of opposition-led constitutional amendments, which they have been powerless to stop. This includes changes to the legislature's investigative powers, recall measures, and government funding allocations. KMT lawmakers are calling Ke's plan absurd.
柯总统啊，像小孩子一样在胡闹，这根本假议题啊，不可能成立的。中央大党执政党怎么会去做这种傻事呢？是唯恐天下不乱嘛。
And on Sunday morning, another high-level KMT official, Wang Hongwei, accused the DPP of a premeditated, coordinated attack, saying they're ready to respond with their own attempts to recall DPP legislatures. And now, with both sides of the political spectrum threatening to rally the public to oust lawmakers, the political chasm here in Taiwan will stretch even wider, with rhetoric set to fly all the way up until Lunar New Year celebrations later this month. Alex Chen, Reece, Ayers, and Harel Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Security analysts are discussing whether China is to blame for cutting an undersea cable off Taiwan's north coast on Friday. The Cameroon-flagged ship has a Chinese name, and some say its African flag might be part of a ruse.
他们操作的形式，这是属于平时灰带的一个操作，它让你比较难去追溯去究责。 说真正的主使国，去清楚抓住说一些重要的海底电缆的节点，然后以它的技术，不管它是派科技探测用的小潜艇去把它给掐断，还是说它用锚去把它拖断，用让像耙子一样把它给耙断，这是中共现有的3项技术是都有办法做到。
The loss of the cable didn't cause problems in Taiwan, but Taiwan's Coast Guard wasn't able to catch the ship believed responsible before it sailed away. Analysts are debating whether this could be linked to other similar incidents in the Baltic and Taiwan Strait, and whether this could be part of Chinese attempts to try to cut Taiwan off from the world. Myanmar has released nearly 6,000 prisoners from detention. The move came during the nation's Independence Day celebration. Philip Prasad reports on the emotional reunions across the country.
Cheers outside a prison in Yangon, Myanmar, as the first bus of freed prisoners leaves the front gate. This is just one of hundreds across the country, releasing thousands of people under an amnesty deal from the country's military government. Some families are reunited immediately, while others search the crowds, hoping to spot their loved ones. Myanmar has been in turmoil since 2021, when the military overthrew the elected government, violently suppressed pro-democracy protests, and sparked an armed rebellion. In the years since, the UN estimates more than 5,000 civilians have been killed, over 3 million people displaced, and more than 27,000 people arrested. As part of Independence Day celebrations, state media has announced the release of thousands, including 180 foreign nationals.
အကျဉ်းထောင်အချုပ်ထောင်စခန်းအသီးသီးတွင်ပြစ်ဒဏ်ကျခံလျက်ရှိသောအကျဉ်းသားအကျဉ်းသူ9864ဦးကိုရာဇဝတ်ကျင့်ထုံးဥပဒေပုံမှန်401ပုံမှန်ခွဲ1အရ
Though these large prison releases are common on holidays in Myanmar, thousands of people remain detained in the country's prisons. But friends and family members are hopeful that one of these buses will mean freedom for their loved ones. Eason Chen, Harel Hughes, and Philip Broussard for TaiwanPlus.
Heavy snow across Seoul has not stopped protesters from gathering both in support and against impeached South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol. The latest protest comes after South Korea's police failed to arrest Yoon on Friday. Thousands of anti-Yoon protesters took to the streets near his residence, while supporters and presidential security officers physically blocked police from carrying out the arrest. The arrest warrant for Yoon was issued as part of an investigation into his brief declaration of martial law in December. From fraud to conflict to population crises, young artists across Taiwan are demonstrating their awareness of social issues at the National Student Art Competition. Looking down at a major fraud operation in Cambodia, the subject in this painting could become another victim of an ongoing crisis unfolding across Asia. It's a solemn depiction of a dark truth by high school student Lin Gu-shun, who used her entry into the 73rd National Student Art Competition to highlight a salient issue in Taiwan.
这边都是手机的原因是因为就是有家人也是因为手机简讯的关系确认码之后就被受骗，所以我觉得虽然现在网络发达很好，但是发达的网络也会造成很多伤害。
Lin's work earned her first place in the print category, one of over 100 award-winning pieces in this year's competition, which attracted over 50,000 entries. Many of the young artists use the competition as an opportunity to comment on a range of current affairs issues, from population crises to the advent of AI technology. Some looking as far as Ukraine for inspiration for their work.
即使战争这个样子，这个金鱼就比较像是一个希望的感觉，就是人民的希望，就是还是一定都会在，它不会消失。
The annual competition invites students from elementary school all the way up to university, awarding young talent across a range of categories, including calligraphy, comics, and graphic design. It celebrates a new generation of artists who, despite their age, are using their creativity to tackle some of the world's most mature matters. Devon Tai and Reece for TaiwanPlus. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we head to Colombia, where revelers celebrate cultural diversity at the annual Black and White Carnival. I'm Reece. Take care and see you next time.
For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, download the TaiwanPlus app.